Hey everyone, and welcome to week 6 of class. This week we're going to continue our assessment of the history of our presidents, and we're going to focus this week specifically on two. One on Thomas Jefferson, and the other is going to be James Madison. Now that stated, we're going to be focusing in on just 3 key events that took place during each of their administrations. And of course, this by no means is an exhaustive overview of their presidencies. Indeed, you'll want to take a look at your textbook to get kind of a broader scope of what was going on during this period. But the 3 things that we're going to be looking at is a continuation of foreign policy, and indeed, during Jefferson's administration, many of the issues that had been going on in the United States during Washington's administration and during Adams's administration, they continue to plague Jefferson. So if you think back to Washington and Adams, right, there has been this continual conflict between the French and the British and the United States seeking to become economically independent, if you will. In an attempt to engage in commerce with both of these nations, they sort of get sucked into these European affairs. And of course, you'll note that under Washington's administration, he said we were going to be neutral. We're not going to participate in any affairs. We're not going to ally ourselves with the French, for example. Okay. And then during Adams's administration with the XYZ affair, there were calls to go to war. Adams keeps his cool. He says we're not going to go to war with France. Instead, we're going to try to deal with life diplomatically. And then we will see this very same thing going on during Jefferson's administration. The conflict between France and Britain is going to ultimately suck the United States into their conflict. And Jefferson is going to enact a certain act known as the Embargo Act as a way to address these issues, because like his predecessors, Jefferson does not want to go to war. Now, what we will find is that during Madison's administration, the situation becomes so problematic, particularly between the United States and the British, that we will eventually go to war with Britain, and that will be known as the War of 1812. And so when we talk about James Madison, we're going to be predominantly talking about the War of 1812, the causes and consequences of that conflict. The other thing that we're going to be looking at during Jefferson's administration is the Louisiana Purchase. Now, this is something that you've probably heard about before in other courses, but one of the things I think is incredibly significant is that we need to understand that through the Louisiana Purchase, the United States was really able to actualize in a sort of physical way its westward expansion. One of the things that's going to happen, of course, and that we'll talk about throughout the course, is this concept of manifest destiny, the idea that the United States had a God-given right and obligation to overspread the continent. And indeed, with the Louisiana Purchase, the United States is now geographically able to accomplish that objective. And so it's not just a prime piece of real estate that the United States picked up super cheap, about 3.5 to 4 cents per acre. We doubled the size of the country with about $15 million. So it was a great purchase, but it also provided sort of an impetus now to continue to go west. And that going west is very central to the American experience, okay? So that's really what we're going to be looking at. As always, you've got your discussion boards, and you might also want to begin thinking about your first PowerPoint assignment that is going to be coming up soon. So the directions for that are located in your syllabus, so please take a look at that and begin to contemplate which 2 topics you would like to look at. And then, again, really what you want to do is select 2 significant events, and they don't necessarily have to be events that we've covered in this class. You can pick events that you think are significant to the overall development of the United States. And really that's got to be very key when you get through your PowerPoint assignment. You want to not only just describe what has happened, right? You want to talk about the event, of course, but you really need to make sure that you clearly assess and analyze how that particular event came to contribute to the overall development of the United States, okay? Whether that was geographic development, political development, economic development, cultural, social, what have you. You really need to focus in on that and make sure that you talk not only about what the event was and explain it, but you also need to clearly assess it. So if you have questions on that or anything else, contact me and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I will leave you as I always do. So go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you, live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.